Okay, fantastic. We're recording. I'm here with North Shore Executive Functioning Coach, Dalia Albassam. It's so nice to see you, Dalia. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
Good. So let's dive right in. And the very first question I know parents and clients are curious about is about who you are. So maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my name's Dalia. I graduated valedictorian of my high school, then went to UC Berkeley on scholarship. There, I studied international law and human rights. Ended up falling in love with teaching. Started teaching at Stanford legal studies during the summer. Somehow found my way into college admissions. I'm really passionate about equity and admissions and really just kind of found a passion for it.
That's fantastic. I mean, you are so smart. I
Thank
hope that
you.
that came through, but I know that you were just brilliant. And your background shows that, I think. And I won't quiz you about how brilliant you are. I'll go on to question number two, which is about executive functioning, right? Coming from this background, what got you interested in executive functioning?
Yeah, so executive functioning, especially coaching, is something that I really benefited a lot when I was in high school. I thought it was what really helped me give me the edge. But more importantly, for this generation, I think it's just really needed. A lot of times when I would go through college applications, especially some of the really competitive students at some of the competitive schools, I would see kids who were super smart, had great test scores, but for whatever reason had a semester or two off. And without a doubt, every single time I went in, I looked at their personal statement, something had happened. Something happened where they might not have had the skills, they might have missed a lot of classes, they didn't know how to organize with, taking the 5 APs or whatever is typical of a junior year nowadays. So I really just thought it was something that I benefited a lot from. I learned the skills and kind of wanted to just give back.
Yeah. And for a parent who has no idea what executive functioning means, that's totally new, and they go, what's executive functioning? Or your friends that say, you're an executive functioning coach, what is that? How would you describe what executive functioning is?
Yeah, so I think about it as the brain's management system, just kind of your autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, it's kind of just learning all of the skills that really make you a successful adult. So, everything from time management, organization, to how to deal with your emotions in some difficult times. We've all had times where we struggled, and it's really about how you get back on the horse. But those are skills you have to learn early in life, and sometimes they're just missing for whatever reason. And the great thing about a skill is that you can learn it, and it's like muscle memory once you get it.
Yeah. And what about smart kids? So some parents say to us, my kid is so smart. They're too smart to not be doing this. They're too smart to be, 14 missing assignments in. What would you say to those parents?
Yes, I 100% understand. Most of the students I work with are the most brilliant people I think I have ever met. And it seems to be a fun correlation where the smarter they are, the more sometimes they just didn't really need these skills up until this point. They can study 5 minutes before an exam and get that A. And then all of a sudden they have to do it 6 times in a week and call it midterms week and don't really know how to go from there. So it's really just knowing, hey, you're smart. Let's see how smart you can really be and how far you can push this.
Yeah.
And that's what the right skills that will get you there.
Yeah. I love that. Um, Thinking about then EF coaching, right? Because it really is talking about not just the content or how smart somebody is. Can they master the Spanish conjugations or whatever, right? But are they able to then have the skills to succeed? Let's talk about coaching. How do you help kids coach? And maybe you can give us one example of a favorite coaching exercise that you do.
Yeah. So I think it always comes down to commitments and just figuring out what works for you. Each student, it's different. So some students I'll work with and we'll figure out a great organizational system. Some students will do color blocking. Some students will make sure that we really understand what the assignment is asking me to do before I go ahead and dive into it. But personally, what I think works great along all of the students is having a specific commitment and working on one thing in between sessions or per week, whatever that happens to be. So we'll start the session by reviewing whatever the commitment was. And then we will end the session with creating either a new one or refining it to see how we can meet it if that was missed the first time.
So when you say commitment, to better understand that, is that you have to finish 1.4 in your math workbook?
No, it's more, yes, I completely understand. So it's more like, how can I gain this skill? Because finishing an assignment is finishing an assignment. That's a one-time task. I want to make sure that you know that every single time, this is how you're going to make sure that you're not falling behind in your schedule, that you're not falling behind in your assignments. So I'm thinking less about getting a student through a week or a course and more about how can I set them up so that 10 years from now, they're still hitting assignments and getting it right.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The next question I think most parents ask is, how do you help a client who struggles with executive functioning?
Yeah, and the funny thing is that was me, 8th and 9th grade, totally me. So I think what really helped me the most is I had a wonderful mentor that kind of just understood me. She had also gone through it. To this day, she's still one of my really good friends. But I just kind of try to understand where they are because not all students are the same and not all home lives are the same. Not all learning styles are the same. So I just really try to get to know the student individually and then ask them what works for you, what has worked for you in the past, what don't you like, what do you like, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. So if there's a kid, for example, I know you work mostly with high school kids and college age kids. Let's pretend there's a college age kid that is having trouble waking up in the morning to get to class. So you start working with this student and you identify together, okay, you're not waking up to go to class.
Yeah.
How might you help them turn the tide? You can't do it for them as a coach. So what strategies do you think you could use? Would you help this kid?
Yeah, so I think the waking up early, not waking up on time is more of a symptom. And I think the root cause is probably something with bedtimes and routines. And maybe you have your phone at night. Maybe your body's just not used to going to bed at 11 and waking up at 7 a.m. So it's not going to happen overnight, but I'm always one to think about the root cause and why somebody isn't waking up on time.
Yeah.
So it could just be you're not looking forward to your day. Why are you not taking the right classes? Or maybe, you're having something going on at home or your friend drama, because we all know how high school and college can be. So I definitely think that with everything, you're kind of seeing just the one-time issue of, you're snoozing through your alarm.
So true. So our company is based on strengths. We're strengths based. And so we really try to get to know the client themselves, what makes them shine, what makes them tick, what makes them stand out, not just their executive functioning failures or weaknesses, but also what, gets them through. So I'd like to know about you and what makes you shine. What are some of your strengths? What makes you unique?
Yeah. So I think it's really come down to just being organized. The funny thing is I'm very organized at work. I'm very organized in my professional life. And that's a skill that I remember I really struggled with in middle school. I was that kid with the messy backpack and would pull out my folder and I would have one folder for all 8 of my classes. So I really think it's organization, keeping a planner, a calendar, and all of that. I think it's really just the core.
Yeah, you are highly organized. Okay, we're back. The Zoom drops. This is what happens, I suppose, with Zoom. We were talking about your strengths. We were talking about your strengths in organization. We know that everybody has strengths and everybody has weaknesses. So as a coach, maybe, or as a person, you could tell us one of your weaknesses.
Yeah, so what's so funny is my first thought is dishes in the sink. I am very organized in my professional life and my personal life, but sometimes home tasks, not so much. So what I personally did was made sure I had the right tools. In that case, for me, it was a dishwasher, and set aside time every couple of days to make sure that my kitchen was spotless. Likewise, I know with students, it's all about making sure you have the right tools and the right routine and background to make sure you're tackling all of your weak spots.
I love that. And you may not know this about me, but dishes are my nemesis. They're my nemesis. Every client that I work with, adults or kids, knows of how much I hate dishes. Probably all the talks that I've given professionally, I use the example of dishes because it is true. Some of these tasks that for somebody else is low effort, for us can be insurmountably difficult without some kind of tool, whether it's a dishwasher. For me, it's listening to a podcast. Just letting you know, if you don't use that one, for me, it's my go-to, because all of a sudden, otherwise I'm like, I can't even look at this. Like, I'm so overwhelmed by thinking of starting this. I can't even do it. Whereas for laundry, I don't even think twice about it. I just go right into the laundry. It's funny how that works. Funny you should use dishes.
And with dishes, the more you leave it, the more it piles up. And then it's this insurmountable task. And the next thing you know, it's this literal laundry list of things to do. So just tackling it day by day, it's so much easier.
And already I'm thinking like a coach, like I'm already thinking, right? Of how often do we see that exact thing played out for our adult clients, for college clients, for high school clients? What is that hill that they've built for themselves? They can't even start walking up because it feels so insurmountable. Well, so the question becomes for you, how have you worked to overcome the challenges? I heard tool like a dishwasher. Anything else?
Yeah, I actually schedule time and I call it home admin time. So what I do is I actually do that Sunday night. That's when I meal prep. That's when I do all of my dishes for the week. That's when I do things like pay my bills or whatever it happens to be as an adult. So for me, just blocking off that time and taking off the mental pressure and just being like, that is my time to do it. Saturday, I'm enjoying it with my friends. I don't have to worry about it. I know it will be done.
I love it. I love it. The last question is about Zoom. And ironically, our Zoom is off today. But, probably the number one question I get is, how will a coach connect with either myself as an adult or my child if we're on Zoom? How would you respond to that?
Yeah, so Zoom is super, super glitchy, as we just experienced. That being said, I actually really like it as a tool. One, because I can help anywhere. I can fit into people's schedules wherever it really works. Also, I love the share screen feature because I like it when the student shares screen on their side, so they have control. They're the one who's almost like they're walking me through their assignment and underlining and writing out everything, as opposed to in class, it would normally just be me and a chalkboard. So I think it's really been a great tool. We can also just pull up a YouTube video or do anything like that. I mean, the world is really your oyster when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think what's so unique about you as a coach is you're such a digital, maybe native, dare I say digital native, but you're so tech savvy. And so I think that it makes you connect really easily with high school and college age kids, that they already, like, they're not going to pull the rug over your eyes of clicking real fast, right? I think you really get it. Do you want to speak to that? Or
I can tell. I can tell when someone's looking down and like has their phone conveniently next to their camera. Yeah.
And also research, the way that research has changed, right? I think that's something you also do really beautifully as a coach, of you can estimate how long something should take when it's breaking it down, and you're so smart. And I know your clients are so smart that they might think something takes either longer or shorter than it does in reality. That's part of time management. But I guess my point is, it's part of time management in a very digitalized space where, yes, we can Google something real fast, but does that mean that we're following all the instructions or following all the steps or have given ourselves adequate time for the editing process or whatever? I completely agree with you. Is there anything else you'd like to share for families that might be watching you that would be interested in working with you, or college kids that are watching and going, maybe I could see myself working with Dalia?
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing for me is I have been there, done that. I loved school, and I know for me, that was where my happy place was. So I actually tried taking classes during this COVID pandemic while I had the downtime, and I completely understand what it's like to go through school, to do online learning, to do online school, to do virtual, office hours, all of that. It is this totally new field for so many people. And I have been there. I understand it. I figured out a way through it. And I would love to help other people kind of navigate those waters too.
Fantastic. Well, Dalia, thank you so very much. I'll end our call here and thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.